Tom Cruise really could finally win an Oscar for Top Gun: Maverick. It's a long shot, sure. But with the legacy sequel the undeniable success story of the summer, it's likely the best opportunity the Academy will ever have to give Cruise the gold. Let's start here. It's entirely likely that Top Gun: Maverick will win multiple Oscars. With her ubiquitous power ballad and an Oscar already in hand, Lady Gaga is perfectly poised to steamroll the Best Original Song category with Hold My Hand. And though there are blockbusters yet to come, including Black Panther 2 and Avatar 2, the Best Sound category basically exists for the zooms and crashes of Top Gun's aerial spectaculars. There's one more honor that's a little bit more out of reach, but irresistible to imagine for fans of both the movie and one of the oldest Oscar narratives, the overdue reward. Tom Cruise has already been celebrated as the sole savior of moviegoing, thanks to Maverick's incredible returns. But what if he also got a Best Actor statue for his effort? The idea was floated back when Maverick first opened, and at the time, it seemed a little fanciful. But as Maverick has continued its box office dominance, to a degree that seemed impossible for any movie about non-superpowered human beings, Cruise and his Herculean efforts to entertain the world remain difficult to ignore. Would an Oscar really be so outlandish at this point? Hear more about this not-so-wild idea on this week's Little Gold Men podcast. Yes, this is a narrative that, with a few details changed, seems to resurface every year. There was the quixotic campaign for Spider-Man: No Way Home to get a Best Picture nomination, largely on the strength of its own box office success. There are the summer hits that hold out hope of being remembered when the Oscar. Cruise gets to play the lingering anguish over Goose's death that informs Maverick's relationship with Goose's son, Miles Teller, his continuing struggle to follow orders, barely containing a smirk in the face of Jon Hamm's imposing admiral, even a surprisingly robust romantic subplot with Jennifer Connelly, whose chemistry with Cruise feels genuinely well-earned. The spectacle of Maverick's flying sequences may be the big selling point, but it's not hard to imagine audiences returning again and again to see the bracingly emotional reunion between Cruise and Val Kilmer's Iceman, an almost 40-year-old, famously homoerotic tension transformed into a deep, and sad, understanding. Maverick is not Cruise's best performance, sure. But as a distillation of everything that has made Cruise a generation-defining star, Maverick is pretty much perfect. If the Academy wants to finally award Cruise a statue, it's not likely there will be a better opportunity to do so. The question, of course, is how much the Academy really wants that, and how hard Cruise is willing to work for it. Long protected by his tower of mega fame and Scientology, Cruise would need to embark on some kind of authenticity tour for an awards campaign, different from the exhaustive work he already did to promote Maverick. It's one thing for Cruise to fly onto an aircraft carrier or hold court in front of a crowd in Cannes, and another entirely to open up for the kind of profiles or roundtable conversations that are ever present in modern Oscar campaigns. There's a very recent precedent for this. Will Smith was more visible, and vulnerable, than he has been in years in his promotional duties for King Richard, and his carefully calibrated campaign worked beautifully, until, of course, it didn't. The path megastars must walk in the Oscar circuit is different from the path for fresh-faced newcomers or even previous winners, but Cruise could make it all look as natural as clinging to the side of an airplane. Many factors, including the slew of films that will premiere at the early fall festivals in Toronto, Telluride, and Venice, will determine Cruise's Oscar chances, far more than the quality of his work. That, unfortunately, is always the way. And it's possible that there's a much easier path for him, parlaying the success of Maverick, and maybe some outrage over an Oscar snub, into a win for a juicy, more Oscar-friendly supporting role in the next year or two. But in this period before we really know what's on the horizon, it's worth just floating the idea of Cruise as a serious contender. As The Hollywood Reporter's Scott Feinberg pointed out back in June, if Paul Newman could win for The Color of Money and John Wayne for True Grit, why not this? The reward from making a giant blockbuster is the money and the cultural impact, but every once in a while, the stars align to merit something more.